Hello again. Um, as far as my goals go, they've actually gone rather well. Last week for I forgot to keep marking down workout. Oops. That's probably why I forgot I needed to do it until today. Everything's actually been going pretty well. Shut up. My my waking up has actually been pretty easy. I've been consistently waking up at 7, and if I on the rare chance that I don't get up, I wake up in 5 to 10 minutes to, at the very least, change the location of where I'm sleeping. So that's a pretty good positive. That at least means that it's a little more consistent. Sometimes when I do wake up, I can't go back to sleep, so I just stay up, which, again, also a good thing. It's at least reinforcing that it's more of a natural habit, so that's great progress. Um, my workout goals, as I just mumbled to myself, I forgot to mark it, but I have actually been doing pretty well. I got back onto my pattern that I needed to do, so I just got to do it today, and just keep letting it snowball until eventually it becomes the second nature, I guess. My pornography goals, they have been going pretty well, but I will admit, my goodness gracious, I've been struggling with that. That seventh day. That seventh day is hard, man. But I'm gonna keep trying my best. If I do fail my challenge, I'll be the first to record it. I'll be the first to beat myself up about it. Um, I will be the first to know, obviously, but it's not gonna hurt too much because it is just the challenge and not my definitive straight up goal. So little bit of leniency and honestly grace for me there, which is really nice. So we're just gonna keep doing the way we're doing. We are halfway through the month at least, and that bodes well. I might actually make it through this time. Um, Next month is May, right? I don't. Yes, yes. Next month is May. Okay. Um, then that means that's the end of the semester. All right, cool. So as far as those go, I think for most of them, I have for the waking up. Obviously, that's a good thing. I'm also kind of changing when I go to sleep in order to properly adjust to that. So maybe I should have stuck with the whole naturally just trying to adjust it thing, and I was looking for results a bit too soon, which I'll admit I definitely do that quite a bit. That's kind of what the porn goal is right now. I imagine it's only going to get harder until I either inevitably fail or I somehow manage to just keep going on until, well, I manage. Which I'm not going to fault myself for failing because the longer this goes on, the more I understand how much of a how difficult of a task I've put ahead of myself. Obviously, I want to overcome it. I have quite a bit of motivation to overcome it too, because again, those days are effectively black zones. I can't even do anything on them. So, not exactly the most confidence instilling, but still, I really want to do it, even if even if I find it to be really difficult to damn near impossible. So, at least I have something like this to either help cope or just uh, just straight up internalize a lot more of my thoughts, or externalize, not internalize. Um, Now I got something to fucking talk about. Last week in my other video, I clearly don't understand some of the things because I got a comment that unfortunately I've already received once, not specifically on this, but in real life when I was in middle school, of being accused of being, at least in middle school, I was accused of being a school shooter at the time. Obviously, I'm here now, and I made it through high school, so it's pretty clear that I wasn't that. And this would be the second time I've received it from my last video 4 days ago from a comment that made the connection of antisocial equals psychopath. And is this going to be the next? Is this going to be the next mass shooter? Keep this guy on your lists. Sounded like an evil. No, it just sounded like a news station. It sounded like some jackass editorializing my life without knowing anything about me. As far as I'm aware, this motherfucker hasn't watched a single other video aside from that one, which also, that one got a strangely high amount of views on it, which is a little discomforting because if that's actually the reaction that a lot of people had, that was entirely unintentional. I didn't mean antisocial in the most literal term, because it's pretty clear that my understanding of antisocial is just a guy who has social anxiety and works not to get into social settings. So, me. In reality, it really is. I was referring to something completely different. One, I don't have the capability of carrying hate enough to kill somebody. At least not to premeditate a murder. It would have to be entirely spur of the moment. Which, even then, I don't know if I'm capable of doing that. I'd have to be in the moment to figure that out, but still, I find hate as a hard thing to keep within myself, even if it's like particularly strong. It never lasts more than a day, and in the most extreme cases, never lasts more than a week. Even when I got initially accused of that, like it kind of faded away. Not even like 3 days after the event happened. Even though a police officer came to school and I was fucking bawling because I'd never experienced anything like that before. It was horrible, and I knew somebody did it. And I guess maybe this time it's a little better because, it's just some, I guess, 2 off comments because for whatever reason they felt the need to make 2 comments on the video. And it's not like, unless they are harassing me, I have to worry about it. At least compared to the middle school incident, which, again, middle schooler, sure, I was a hell of a lot edgier then, but, like, just because I have a little edge doesn't mean I have an actual blade. Maybe I shouldn't be using analogies or metaphors or whatever the fuck you want to call that. Whoever the fuck it was, just kept it up. They accused me 2 other times. So much so that the vice principal just came out to me in the courtyard and fucking informed me that the same person did it twice after the initial one. It was pretty awful. Even during that, even when he informed me that they were doing it again, I didn't harbor hatred anymore. It was already done. I was cleared. I was told that it wasn't a problem, and I faced consequences for something that I wasn't going to do. I was fucking grounded. I was punished for somebody else's accusation of me. And even still, I was more curious as to why the fuck they were so insistent that I was gonna shoot people. Why they thought, for such a reason, that it was justifiable to accuse me 2 times after the initial one, which got the police involved. I was found to be cleared. Hell, even at the time, and even now, I don't know how to acquire a weapon. I know there's one in this house somewhere, but not even my mom knows where she put it, and it's her gun! So, there's just no way. I'm also fucking way too poor to be able to get it illegally. And as far as gun laws in California, I don't think I could get a gun, at least not easily, and if it wasn't made apparent by some of these other videos, there's too much friction for me to get that shit. At least for now. It's not like I've developed willpower enough to break through some of these barriers. Especially, maybe if it were in the comfort of my home, I could try, but when it comes down to it, no matter how much I find the things fascinating, I don't I don't have the willpower to go and get them. I don't really have the willpower to premeditate a murder either. The furthest I got with my own murder would be, oh, well, I guess I'd go into the kitchen and just grab a knife. And even then, I can't even be bothered to do that. I guess it's a good thing. It means I'm not a threat to anybody, including myself. But at the same time, it makes me a little sad because I don't even have the balls to kill myself. Damn. But it, I'm not gonna lie that those types of comments always get me. I know that I'm technically of the demographic, right? A somewhat edgy white guy who has some political opinions that could motivate him to commit political violence, but no, I don't believe in that shit. That's not going to change anything. It's not going to do anything. The one thing that does motivate me is true, lasting change, and shooting people doesn't do that. Unless you're going to start a war on a massive scale, that's not going to bring change. And even then, there's plenty of examples from history that even starting a war like that doesn't always bring change. Sometimes it's just an extended period of suffering that brings them right back where they started. So I'd prefer to look into ways to make change that don't involve so much suffering and instead involve alleviating that suffering. Felt like I had to make a statement on it here. I let my friends know, obviously, and I try not to let it get to me too much, but with it being the second time this has happened, it doesn't exactly make me happy. Not to mention, I was just yesterday learning about certain social expectations as it goes with stereotyping and race. And I kind of came to the realization that both of these have made it sort of like have activated a piece of my mind where it's like, oh, I have to fulfill that prophecy, but I don't want to. It makes me reflect on multiple times where effectively more, I guess, public ideas of who I'm supposed to be get to me and oftentimes influence how I see myself and how I'm supposed to act. Obviously, I'm in a better place to just outright ignore that because back then I was a kid. Those types of forces were overwhelming. And I mean, now, I'm still kind of a kid. I wouldn't say I'm a fully grown man yet, but I'm a lot more grown and I'm a lot more aware of these issues. So it becomes a hell of a lot easier to not fall into or even fulfill that prophecy. Realistically, I don't think I've ever wanted to be known as a guy who killed people for either frivolous or good reasons. It just, I don't think most people want to be known as that. It's not exactly, it's not exactly a glorious or great title to have. And it oftentimes attracts the most mentally ill people, which I already got enough mental illness for myself, thank you. I'd prefer to I'd prefer to keep away from that type of stuff, if I can at least. So I don't know. Just felt like I had to make that statement at all. It hurts that I do have to make that statement quite a bit, but you know, if people are going to be watching me, I should at least try to clarify that that's not going to happen and you can stop. If I do appear in the news, then I guess you were right. Thanks, dickhead. You made it happen. I'm going to blame you for that because you're just one of many social forces that fucking forced this fate onto me. One that I, by my own admission, don't even want to fulfill. If anything, the one thing that would drive me to that are is social pressure. 100%. So maybe, I don't know, don't go around doing that shit, huh? Maybe instead try to build people up and sway them away from what they seem to be susceptible to instead of editorializing and trying to sell it to people. And maybe you could avert the next shooting. Just a thought. But get some of my get some of that pent up hate and vitriol out a little bit. Give me a little bit of a venting space. Although, admittedly, probably should go to therapy. I've actually thought that multiple times, mostly because I've seen that I do have some veiled anger issues that I just don't quite know how to address. So it'd probably be better to at least go and talk to some professional in the field and try to understand, you know, get to the root of that problem and properly address it instead of doing more childish displays like what I just did here. So, other than that, there is one other thing, since I've basically just been logging how my ethnography is going. This was my final week that I gave myself to go to the street fair and sort of understand, take notes, yada, yada, yada. Get what I need to, research. And it was alright. It was pretty okay. I was much more tired that time than I was the first two times. And strangely enough, despite Coachella happening, this happens in Palm Springs, by the way, so pretty close to Coachella, there were frighteningly few people. I mean, I did leave early, but we left around 9, so it was only an hour from when the event usually ends. And it was really empty. It was way more empty compared to when I first went on spring break, which fucking packed with people. And then the second week I went, which was just before Coachella, when it was kind of similarly packed, I think. Um, but this day was really empty, and that came as, especially on the day and even now, that came as a pretty big shock to me because the info board I talked about said that the purpose of the Village Fest was to draw in tourists earlier on a Thursday instead of on a Friday when they usually would be here. So what the hell was going on with that? An interesting observation to make, and I'm more than likely going to be drawing attention to that peculiarity in my ethnography if I find it necessary. I may or may not. It depends. I'm I'm getting ideas of how it's forming already in my head, which is nice, but I would be remiss if I remiss. Use words you know the meaning of, bro. I would be I would be I wouldn't be surprised if I didn't use it because I also did say that I wasn't gonna go for a third week, and I'll admit this last week was mostly fruitless. Mostly, the stuff I did get here, I definitely could have gotten on previous weeks with no problem. I didn't even really conduct many interviews this week. I did interviews the last 2 weeks, but I only talked to an info booth this time, which I also did last week. So that otherwise, I'd say it's been coming along decently according with my notes. I do have to, based off of the assignments, since I have to turn these in, I'm gonna go ahead and add what I do remember because there are a couple of things that I think I missed based off of what you said, which I should have just read the thing to begin with. So, but I'm gonna go ahead and restructure them, put in some of the things that I remember feeling most prominently, since those stick out in my memory the most. And after that, obviously, process them into electronic notes, turn them in. And after that, I guess the last thing for that would just to be start my draft and get someone to look at it and just kind of go with that. But the biggest problem I've been running into that is I don't know what exactly I need, what exactly my teacher is looking for. as I look at the assignment, I can get a general idea, but I don't know what the expectations are. I know this is an introduction to anthropology class, to cultural anthropology class, but still, I'm not entirely sure what my teacher is looking for my ethnography. So I'm gonna try to gauge that and then just keep moving. Other than that, school has gone pretty decent. Actually, last week I kind of fucked up heavily, so um, I've been sort of recovering and trying to build up some momentum this week, trying to rebuild that feedback loop that got broken in during my week long break. So gonna have to build that up, and hopefully, I know there's gonna be a bit of time between this semester and the next semester. So I'm going to try and keep the feedback loop that I'm building at the end of this semester going into the next semester and hope that, that works. I've started to reframe how I view a lot of work too. So, as I said, feedback loop. I'm trying to I'm trying to effectively do work and then have that work feed into itself so that it consistently builds up and up so that I can just keep going. It feels natural to keep going. It feels mandatory to keep going. Because I'll admit, I even did feel that during my first semester, even if it was heavily fragmented and very amateurish. So I'm hoping this reframing can help me work better and move better. I'm also hoping that at the very least it allows me to actually do better too, and just hello, and just changes my general approach to everything. So that's what I'm working on. Rambled on a little longer than I thought, but did want to address that, and there were a couple of other things that I figured I wanted to at least add. So add for later, I mean, because looking back on this video, the info about building a feedback loop, if I ever do forget it again, I can come back here and at least brush up, and hopefully next week I even cover it a little more because hopefully by then I'll have learned a little more about building it and I can discuss it more. Shut up. Anywho, I will see myself next time.